So I thought I would demonstrate a skill that I used to use an awful lot when I started reading professionally, but don't use so much now because over the years, my reading style has changed basically because with every reading I do, I learn a little bit more. But I used to read with two decks a lot, and I'm quite excited actually to go back to exploring reading with two decks. So I've still got my much loved Rider Waite deck, but I'm going to pause that and move it over there for a moment. This is my second reading deck, which is the Druid Craft deck, a really beautiful modern deck based on the Rider Waite deck, but very much also based on Northern European paganism. The one thing that most people complain about with this deck is that the cards are big, and that can make shuffling quite awkward. But it's very useful if you are doing a two deck reading, because if you put these cards on the bottom, you can still see them when you put another card on top. I'm just going to do my normal reflection spread, looking at me and how am I doing right now. Because this is more for the tool and technique of reading with two decks than the actual card meanings. So as usual, I like to split the deck and bring it back together. To me, that's just a moment of complete and perfect focus. And then running through my reflection spread, first of all, we've got the High Priestess to represent how am I feeling right now. Interestingly, this week I have, for various reasons, taken more time off to do content creation and taken a step back from client work. And I'm really enjoying it. Crossing me is the Wheel of Fortune. This is something that I need to integrate or learn or bring into my life. And yeah, I need to be more centered so that I can do more of the content creation work, because I find it very intuitive and nurturing. Card to represent my unconscious, which is the High Priest. That would be the Hierophant in a more regular deck. When I do intuitively focus on content creation, I find it just flows, because I have read a lot over the years. We're talking here about tarot. When it comes to the runes, I've done a lot of rune work. So I really like this connection between the High Priestess and the Hierophant or the High Priest, because I do find it just flows. Card for my past is the Five of Wands, the fact that I've been struggling to find this time. The card for my conscious head, Princess of Wands, no great surprise. I'm loving doing this. Card for my future is the Moon. Now, that's an interesting one. The Moon can be about fear. It can be about not having all the facts. And everything else just really sat well with me. But I don't understand what the Moon means in this position. So when I read with two decks, I don't decide how I'm going to use the second deck until I've read the first reading. I will turn the card up, put it over there. The Three of Pentacles. So we've got a whole feeling here that I've stepped away from chaos. I'm blending my intuitive and my wisdom. I'm doing something I really enjoy. It is the Three of Pentacles. It is good for my business. It's good for me. It's a good decision. But I'm disconcerted by the Moon for the future, because the Moon can be connected with fear. So what I want to know is, am I going to come back into Five of Wands, get overwhelmed, overburdened, and not spend this time? Or the Moon can represent something I'm not fully aware of. Now that might be a good thing. to me, all the other cards are really positive, and particularly with that Three of Pentacles, the card at the bottom of the pack. It can be, now, of course, normally if I wasn't demonstrating reading with 2 decks, I would probably at this point reshuffle my original deck and ask about the moon. I think what I'm going to do, I really like this line and I really feel confident about this line. Me, my conscious mind and my unconscious. It is these two, my past and my future, that I think I want to unpick. And so you decide, you choose which part of whichever spread you're doing would you like more help with. So I am going to pull 6 cards. I'm going to pull another card to represent past, present, future, to help me to understand this narrative. And then I'm going to pull 3 cards for advice, and including what do I need to know all about the moon card. So that's what I'm doing. 3 cards to redefine the narrative and 3 cards for advice. So let's have a look. As always, I like to cut the deck. So, past, the 9 of Pentacles. Part of the problem is, of course, I have to do the client work to earn the money to pay the bills. So earning money today has been more important than investing time in things that will make my life easier tomorrow. That's definitely, I think, the past. Looking at the present moment, the Knight of Wands, it's scary writing a book or creating content. I'm currently creating a very in-depth tarot correspondence course, because I invest my time and my energy in the project, but the money doesn't come in until after. Whereas if I'm seeing clients or doing email readings, I do an hour's work, I get an hour's pay. It takes more confidence to take a step back and build the client work. And so the Magician is that new start. It's suggesting that the the content creation work is getting me to the point where I can have a fresh start, where I can feel that I've got a better handle on my life. So already I feel a little bit better about the moon, but I want my 3 cards. Now I'm not going to reshuffle, because I decided when I was shuffling that I would pull these 6 cards. So advice on the moon. The Ace of Cups. That, I love the Ace of Cups. The Ace of Cups and the Princess of Wands are very much my tarot card reading, or also anything to do with tarot, to be honest, because I always find the more that I put into my tarot, the more that I get out of it. The Page of Swords now makes me think that the moon is representing the anxiety of taking less time for paid client work and more time for content creation. And the moon. So that's the joy of working with 2 decks. You can get repeat cards. I'm going to look at the cards at the bottom of the pack as well. The Hierophant. So the Hierophant is wisdom and communication. Piecing this all together and identifying the Page of Swords as anxiety, but with the Ace of Cups reminding me that the more that I put into my content creation, the more that I will enjoy it and the more that I will get out. And with the Hierophant being the card of the teacher and perhaps also the writer and the author, I'm now going to think that the moon is a reminder not to allow my anxiety to take me to false safety. I've literally, because I am having a couple of real content creation days, I've literally talked about how when I first started my business, I got the moon and the tower a lot, and how the tower can represent these two towers can represent full safety, making decisions that make you feel safe today, but that you will have to break away from in the future. And so I am now convinced, having done this second reading, if you like, that that's what the moon underneath is telling me. Don't make fear-based decisions. Don't let my anxiety dictate this. Stick to my truth, which is that I like teaching, I like mentoring, I like writing. Now, in the past, when I've shared this kind of reading, some people struggle with the chaos of it. I've got quite a chaotic brain, which you may have already worked out. So I like this style of reading. I have in the past, though I'm not going to demonstrate it now, left a reading like this out, gone away, gone for a walk, had a cup of tea, come back and taken a third deck and layered it. And this kind of style really suits me. In fact, when I'm reading for a client, although I now predominantly read with one deck, what I normally do is lots and lots of small readings, putting the cards back, shuffling, getting new cards out, reading about a situation from different angles. I'm remembering all the other cards. In my brain, I'm creating a 3D model of all the different spreads and finding connections between the different spreads. So in some ways, this chaotic way of reading, or this layered, complicated way of reading, really suits my brain. So if you look at this and you think, oh my God, I just couldn't cope with so many cards and so many layers and different styles, then, you can always break it down. This would work equally well. Just putting them all back. For just a 3-card reading. And again, my advice is do the first spread first. So let's say I wanted advice about my content creation. I might say I'm just going to do past, present, future. And then let's say that the card for the present doesn't make as much sense as I would like it to, or maybe it's a major arcana and I'd like more detail. Then you can take your second deck, shuffle it and pull 3 cards for this card. Or let's say you've done your spread past, present, future and you like it, it makes perfect sense. You might say, this is fantastic. How do I make sure I really stay on track with this? Then you might pull 3 cards for advice. Or your outcome card may be quite a neutral card, or a card that doesn't have a defined ending, perhaps like the Wheel of Fortune or the 8 of Cups. Then you might say, yeah, I'm going to keep that reading. I'm going to stand by that. But now I want to look at the longer term outcome with my second deck. So give it a go, play with it, layer your cards up, do a spread, understand it, and then use your second spread to ask questions that will help empower you to really understand and use the first spread.